It is exactly 10 p.m. Welcome to the hotspot. My name is Webb, and on this day that was ordained, the day that Manchester United will make the first signing of the summer complete, we return with more news concerning the biggest football club, talk about a lot of things, including the takeover, give you a bit of an update about it if you're interested in anything to do with the takeover. We also have a bit of talk about Sofian Amrabat and where Man United is, because there are new reports coming through from Italy. We also certainly have got an update about Andre Onana. United is taking center stage in this summer, and we are here to discuss it. My name is Webb. Subscribe to the hotspot and let's get to burn you with the hottest news concerning Manchester United. Now, today was the day that this man, Mason Mount, was officially confirmed as a Manchester United player, putting pen to paper to his 5-year contract that goes on until 2028 with an option of extending by a further 1 year. Now, Mount was excited, clearly excited, as he did get his unveiling at Manchester United. Here you can see the smile on his face says it all. We are going to talk about his shirt number in a bit. He was granted the shirt number 7. The prestigious shirt number 7 is what Mason Mount will be donning at Manchester United. We'll talk about it in a bit. But that is him there, smiling from ear to ear after being unveiled and relieved of the misery of playing at his childhood club, if I would call it that, because I mean he's been waxing lyrical since he was confirmed by Manchester United, meaning he has clearly not been happy at Chelsea. We saw him after hugging Eric Ten Hag, how he seemed to be so excited and eager to start his journey as a Manchester United footballer, as a Red Devil, and it shows you that I think he's a player determined to come and shine. But guys, welcome aboard. We're just starting. This is going to be an interesting conversation concerning Manchester United. I see you, Joseph Ogbodu. Hello, good evening. Good evening to you. Chris Lutwama, shirt 7. Yes, we are going to talk about that and talk about some of the best or worst shirt 7s United has had. Chris Lutwama is saying he's relieved. Yeah, oh yeah, he's quoting me. He's been relieved of the misery of playing at Chelsea. Certainly he was not happy. He has been miserable. But yeah, we're here to talk that and more here on the hotspot. Well, subscribe and let's keep growing this community of Manchester United supporters. Now, of course, Mason Mount given the shirt number 7, and to be honest, this in recent years has felt like a jinxed shirt, and certainly Mason Mount, whereas he was excited, and by the way, I want to give him a lot of credit for showing character in welcoming the shirt number 7, because I'm sure we know for a fact that there are so many players who were offered the shirt number 7, but they feared it because of how difficult it is to fit in those shoes or into that shirt in this case. Now, Mount, as a player of character, and the truth is, and I'm sure he knows, the world has judged his move. The amount that United are paying Chelsea to many is a rip-off. But if you saw the body language of Eric Ten Hag, he was certainly happy and sure of what he was doing. In fact, there is a video of when they were having a photo moment, and Ten Hag did shake hands with Mason Mount, and he whispered something to him. He told him, because the video did actually share tap the audio as well, and he clearly was telling him he wants him to be a very important player for the club. Ten Hag is so fascinated with Mason Mount, which is a good thing, because certainly a player will flourish, a talented player will always flourish if there seems to be a love affair between them and the manager. And clearly, I think it's on that slate that Mason Mount is starting at Manchester United. It's an important thing. But for me, the character he showed, because when they were speaking, and Eric Ten Hag has taken a lot of credit in this move, when the two were talking, one of the things that Ten Hag told him was the honor, because the shirt number 7 is an honor at Manchester United, and I'll tell you why in a bit, given the legends that have done it before. So Eric Ten Hag gave Mason Mount the honor, the privilege of putting on the shirt number 7. Remember, Mason Mount has always idolized Cristiano Ronaldo, and Mason Mount certainly watched Cristiano Ronaldo playing and shining at Manchester United, and he has always dreamt of playing like Cristiano. He perhaps never dreamt he would play at United, and later on put on the same number Ronaldo put on. So for him not to fear that and embrace it, also knowing obviously he must have done his research about the shirt number 7. and how so many players came and flopped in it in every corner, left, right, and center. For me, it shows character from the young player, and again, for me, that's credit. And I think we need to start picking the positives, even if many Man United supporters were not exactly excited by the idea of Mason Mount joining for the fee, knowing that what United needed now is a striker mostly. I think we obviously have reason now to start picking, because it's done. He's never going back. He has signed a contract. He will be earning close to £200,000 per week. So he's there to stay. So we've got to now find the positives and rally behind him so that it all works. So, but the shot number 7 is not an easy shot. And I can see Chris Tuama here is saying Memphis was poor as a shot number 7. Valencia ran away from it. Exactly. And Ebonila too is also laughing at the shot number 7. But yeah, let's look back at the former Man United players who have done the shot number 7. Those who succeeded in it, but also those who flopped in every sense of the word. And the shot number 7 is, I think, for those of our time, we can mostly, I think, try to remember probably Onana as one of the few. I beg your pardon. Why is Onana on my list? I have news about Onana. I think we can remember Eric Cantona as, I think, one of the best shot number 7s United has had. Of course, some of us were probably so young or not born at that time when Cantona was bossing the shot number 7. Now let's start with those we know. Of course, we know David Beckham was there. He put on the shot number 7. We also know that those are some of them. Edinson Cavani. Now these are the ones who flopped in recent years. Michael Owen. And you can give me your opinion about Owen's performance at Man United, because I feel like it's actually forgettable. It's easy to forget that Michael Owen played at Manchester United, because I think with all places he's been, his start United was not that memorable, if you ask me. So Michael Owen is one of those who donned the shirt number 7, but the rest, Di Maria, I think, was the mother of all flops. Alexis Sanchez played about 50 games for United and scored only 5 goals. Flop in every sense of the word. Edinson Cavani was in the evening of his career. I might want to be fair on him because he joined a dilapidated United in every corner. And, well, I hate to say he struggled. I won't say he flopped. Memphis Depay, need I say anything about him? I think it was one of the most dishonorable times for me seeing a Manchester United player, just molest shirt number 7. I think I think he did all injustices you can think about to that shirt number. Valencia, he may not have been as fancy as Cristiano Ronaldo or David Beckham or Eric Cantona, but I cannot exactly say that Valencia flopped in the shirt number 7. First of all, Valencia played a lot of for a long time at United. That longevity, Valencia was predominantly a right back. Of course, played the number 7 as well. He had his different, unique style, but he was competitive. He was a competitor. He played competitive. He was different in his style. Of course, a South American boy, like you'd expect. I felt he was competitive in his style. He was different. So I wouldn't say Valencia flopped. He even captained the team. So I wouldn't say Valencia exactly flopped. He was not exactly the type of number 7 United was used to. So I think I would have some bit of sympathy on him. But I think it's a difficult place for a player to come out, join United now, and you embrace the shirt number 7 because of how it has been jinxed in recent years. But it's again a challenge, and again, depending on the character of the player, you either embrace it or you run away from it. Now, I credit Mason Mount for being able to embrace that challenge. Yeah, we'll get back to the shirt number 7 and what you expect Mount to do with it. But let's also talk about a bit of the news that's coming. There is news that is just coming through now from Italy. And I'll just give it to you as it is, that Manchester United seems to be on a serious hunt for goalkeepers. And the latest is that they have tabled a bid for a young goalkeeper, a bid of about €3 million for a young goalkeeper. And this is the report that has just come through about 10 minutes ago, that United have made an offer of 3 million euros for Fenerbahce goalkeeper Alte Bayindil. That's the name. I hope I pronounced that right. Bayindil. That's the goalkeeper. And they're, of course, looking at him as a likely second or third choice goalkeeper. Certainly, this shows us how things have gone. Chris Tutuama feels Di Maria did not get a fair chance at United. Well, how do you define fair? I think the fair, because Di Maria was not, I wouldn't really say he didn't get a fair chance, because unlike a player like Donny van de Beek, whose stay at United has been curtailed by injuries, I feel like Di Maria did not have so many injuries at United. So he was fit enough to warrant a fair time or a fair. I feel like Di Maria was given time, to be honest, but he never performed. He never wowed us the way he was at Real Madrid. So for me, I think I disagree, Chris. I think you're just like Di Maria, who by the way has gone back to Benfica. It has been confirmed. But I feel like he got a fair time. He got a decent time to prove himself. He was never really that injured. If he was injured like Van de Beek, I would say Van de Beek did not get a fair chance because he has been injured for the most part of his start at United. But it's like saying Jadon Sancho has not got a fair time at Manchester United. He has got 2 seasons, never injured. Then it means you are just not good enough. And that's the thing with Di Maria. Di Maria was signed as a world-class player. He was one of the best players in the world by the time he joined from Real Madrid. But he did not really make a good case for himself. So I don't exactly think Di Maria did not get a fair chance. I think Chris Rutuama is just trying to be nice and polite about Di Maria. He's a cool guy, it seems, but I think things just did not go right. But of course, for most of the big players who flopped at United, you cannot exactly blame it on the players. I think the whole project was struggles before Eric Ten Hag came. I think the whole project, from the coaching, from the whole direction, and we've seen these things as they were revealed when Cristiano Ronaldo did leave. So I feel like it's not really exactly to blame the players. I feel like the whole project was gone, and that's why most of these players labored to perform. Chris Truama is still saying Owen somewhat resuscitated the number 7. Yes, he did, because I think Owen scored about he played about 52 games or thereabout, and he scored about 15 goals or thereabout. Decent enough, but yeah, of course, because he's Michael Owen and he would always be loved. But yeah, you wouldn't say he really excelled a lot. But yeah, as you can say, he tried to resuscitate the number. But of course, immediately after him, it went back to bed. Chris Rutuama, they need a new goalie. De Gea also shouldn't get the kind of treatment he's getting from United, without a doubt. And we've been talking about that for a lot of time. That whereas I'm one of those who think David De Gea should leave, because actually now it's even a point of no turning back, because what has gone on, I think, has just made it so difficult for him to start United, regardless whether he would want to take the. I think even the talks of him having pay cuts and what should not even go on. They should just let him go and enjoy his marriage and go play football in Saudi or whatever, Fenerbahce or wherever in Turkey where he's been linked. Because if he stayed at United, I think fans would butcher him, like the butcher in the back line. I think they would butcher him badly. I don't think he would, because already I feel like David De Gea had lost confidence in between the sticks for United. So him staying now, the fans would not be nice on him at all, unless he stayed as a number 2. Unless he stayed as a number 2, they would forget a bit and be fair on him. But if he stayed as a number 1 and they didn't sign Onana, I think that is the worst thing that would happen to him and to Eric Ten Hag. I think the best thing for David De Gea is to leave. But in terms of goalie, of course, the update is that Manchester United have placed a bid. They have had a bid that was placed earlier on today for Andre Onana, a bid of 34 million pounds plus 5 million in add-ons. That was rejected by Inter Milan on arrival. Inter Milan do value their player at 60 million euros. 60 million euros is about 51 million pounds. Now, that means the difference and that includes add-ons for Inter Milan. And now, the difference between 39 million pounds and 51 million pounds is about 12 million pounds. So the difference in valuation of the player between the two parties is 12 million pounds. I would be shocked if United fail to sign Onana because of that, because I believe Inter Milan are obviously willing to go down, and I should believe United don't think the best goalkeeper in the world right now is worth 39 million pounds when players like Declan Rice are being sold for 105 million pounds. In fact, to be honest, I feel like Inter Milan were fair in asking for 51 million pounds for Onana. We are talking about the best goalkeeper in the world right now. So I think 60 million euros is a bargain for United. It will be jumping on him. But of course, we know the situation. There is no money. And probably these are some of the things they discussed in those closed meetings with the sporting director who was in the UK recently. So I feel, for me, United will sign Onana. It's a question of when, not if they will. I think they will sign him. But the question is then he will not be alone in goal, because Dean Henderson clearly wants to go. They were talking to him. He had talks with Eric Ten Hag, but it's clear, he wants to go. Nottingham Forest wants to sign him. Man United should not even be wasting his time. They should be cashing in on him. That's why United are linked to all these goalkeepers. Bijlo, that's the final goalkeeper, and all these other goalkeepers who are being emerging. So that's where United is. But also, Amrabat is again a player United is seriously interested in. In Italy, reports are suggesting that Manchester United have actually reached personal. And guys, remember about Onana and Mason Mount, where I was here telling you United had first agreed personal terms with these players and their camps. So apparently, reports coming through from Italy suggest that Manchester United have agreed personal terms with Sofian Amrabat. And they are now waiting after sorting Onana. It's one at a time. Mason Mount is done. Onana next. After Onana, Rasmus Højlund, then Amrabat. Ten Hag is seriously considering, and like we see it, I think it's glaring in front of him that Manchester United need a holding midfielder. And Amrabat is the cheap option because there is no money. The only other available option would have been Moises Caicedo and of course Romeo Lavia, but I think United does not want to go into a bidding war, considering that they don't have the luxury of cash. You can't go into a bidding war with Chelsea for a Caicedo when Chelsea has all this money from Todd Bowley, but most importantly the money they got from Qatar, rather from Saudi Arabia, all the sales of players in every department. So certainly it shows you that United, that's why United is going for, I feel like United is now executing plan, not even C, probably plan D, because I don't think Onana was ever in the plans of Eric Ten Hag. I don't think so. I think it's just them coming up with a cheap options. I think the goalkeeper United has always wanted to sign has been Diogo Costa, but there was no way the Spur agent, that is George Mendes, was going to sell Diogo Costa for anything less than 60 million pounds. And obviously, it's clear Manchester United doesn't have that kind of money to spend. That's why they are going for fair, decent players, but that would come on a cheap. So that's where United is now. I think we are working on a low budget, if I would be clear. Senoga Ramanzan is saying Amrabat is coming to United. I think so, but actually I have got a strong feeling, a good feeling about Amrabat. I do think United could shock us and surprise and sign 4 players. I think United will sign a goalkeeper, probably 2 even, because Dean Henderson and David De Gea clearly are going. So United will need to sign another goalkeeper, a younger one and all. So I think United could sign 2 goalkeepers. United, I think, will proceed, of course, and sign Rasmus Højlund. I also, because the personal terms were already agreed with the player and his camp, I also think United is likely to sign Amrabat or a holding midfielder. It may not be Amrabat, but I think they are too advanced with Amrabat, and Amrabat is valued at about 30 million euros. Really, I feel like that's decent. There is hope that United will sell a player or 2. Because now there are reports suggesting that Fred is not only attracting attention from Fulham, but clubs from Saudi Arabia are also inquiring about him. So, and he's Brazilian. I think many players, before this whole attack on Europe, most of the players playing in the Saudi Pro League are mostly from Brazil and the Americas. So I think Fred fits the bill. But I feel that would be good, because then you would know that United could get the 20 million they value the player at, or even slightly less than that. So you feel they will be able to sign some of these cheap options of players that we are settling for. The only expensive player now, of course, after Mason Mount, is Rasmus Højlund, who is a bit pricey in the eyes of Atalanta. And as we know, Atalanta are good negotiators. You remember how they ripped us off when they were selling Ahmad to us about 3 years ago in 2019. The young boy was a prospect, a sheer prospect, but United paid £30 million for him. So it shows you they know the team they are dealing with. These are the same people they are dealing with, the John Matters, the Richard Arnolds of this world. So they know. That's why they are hiking the player, asking for 60 million, 70 million euros. Yet we are talking of a prospect. So that's a bit of where we are. But I still think United should be able to sign Rasmus Højlund, if I'm to be honest. Ebonila is saying Mount must work harder. Alexis was a comedian. Sanchez, you wonder what happened to Alexis Sanchez when he joined Man United. You wonder what then befell him, because I think he was a shadow of his old self. He was a shadow of the Sanchez we saw at Barcelona and Arsenal. I think, but again, you want to think perhaps the whole Man United project was in shambles, that even the best players in the world would not perform. I think good players shine under a decent project. And you cannot exactly blame, because it cannot be by coincidence that players who were at their prime when they were joining United flanked flat out. Di Maria, Alexis Sanchez, what's his name? The former Southampton midfielder, Morgan Schneiderlin. Who else? There are players you could recall who were on their close to their prime when they joined United, but somehow they flanked terribly. It can't be by coincidence. I think it's because the whole project was not was not working. So for me, I think yes, whereas we can bash these players for being comedians, I feel like they were failed a bit by the lack of direction and the lack of proper management in terms of the project that United had post Sir Alex Ferguson. But yeah, you can proceed, guys, and give me your opinion. But this is where we are. How do you rate Mason Mount? First of all, do you think it is right for him to don the prestigious shirt number 7? And of course, certain people who are anti-United will laugh about the shirt number 7 and saying, it's just a shirt number. But guys, first of all, shirt number 7 is one of the most sellable shirts on the market, because even when it's not about the person who dons it, I think the shirt number 7 is attractive. Many people would want, if you have kids, you would want to go to a shop and buy the shirt number 7 for your kid. Somehow, psychologically, it's attractive, so it's easy to sell. But it also has got a rich history when you talk about Man United. And Man United is a traditional club. It's traditional like that. In fact, I had a feeling after Cristiano Ronaldo that it would be retired after Cristiano Ronaldo won. But of course, it never was. But it's a big deal, and that's why it's an honor to Mason Mount for him to be offered that shirt. And the pressure that comes with it is something we want to see how he's going to deal with it. But he seemed to be so excited and eager to get going. I sort of liked his demeanor. I felt like, of course, he's a young boy, but I felt like he was, to be honest, he showed that he was eager to start. He was fired up. He wanted to start, which I felt was a good thing, seeing that happen. I see Hasib Saka saying, let's get Amrabat. He's a good player. Yes, I agree. He's a decent player. Perhaps not our first priority. And before, being a United fan, I felt United should be bidding for the best players in the world. And Amrabat certainly is not the best player in the world in that position. But if the World Cup is anything to go by, man, the man pushed his Morocco to the semi-finals of the World Cup. But yes, I feel like he would be a good signing, a decent signing for United. Ebonila, me, I prefer Sanchez of Brighton so much. How do you rate him? Sanchez of Brighton, I prefer him. Well, no one has spoken about him, but you see, to be honest, for me now, Manchester United and any holding midfielder United would sign right now, for me, I would be happy. Even if they came to Uganda and signed Aucho Khalid, if you've heard about him, I think I would be okay. I would be happy. But I do think I do think United is making progress. Ebonira is saying just bring Amrabat is a very strong in passing. Yes, surely we need, and he's quite solid. We need dominating midfielders like him to enhance the to enhance the pressing style of Ten Hag. Yes, I agree, but the money should allow, because we seem to be in a state of sell to buy, if you know what I mean. We need to be rationed to that into such a state where we need to sell players to be able to buy the players we prefer, because as it is, the budget doesn't seem to be enough for United to get all the players they would ideally want to have. But for me, even if United signed only 3 players in this window, I think it would be a successful summer for the club. I strongly feel it will be a successful summer for the club. And now I'm imagining a Man United with Onana in between the sticks. Then you've got a backline of Lisandro Martinez, Varane when he's fit. Of course, now the ideal. Then on the right you've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Then on the left you've got Luke Shaw, obviously. Then in the midfield you've got Casemiro and Amrabat. And I'm imagining now Amrabat starting, because then you would have a proper balance. Now, also if you're playing a team like Arsenal or Man City, that's quite solid in their midfield. You want to have 2 solid players who can as well give you something going forward. So you've got Amrabat with Casemiro. Then you have Bruno Fernandes playing as your number 10. Then on the right you've got Mason Mount, because Mason Mount, the beauty with his foot style of play is his versatility. He can play out wide, he can play as the number 10. Of course, he will mostly play through the central axis, but he can play comfortably, in all the wide areas. So you've got Mason Mount on one flank on the right, Marcus Rashford on the left, and Rasmus Højlund as your number 9. I feel like that is a decent United that could try and be competitive. So, for me, I feel like we just now need to seal a few moves to try and build a side that can come and stand against Arsenal and Manchester City and try to give them a proper run for their money. I feel like we are building towards that slowly but surely. But it will all depend on the time when we get these deals done, because the longer we take, the more difficult it's going to be, because if we do not have these players during preseason, then it's going to be a problem for United. We need to have these players there when the preseason starts, and it's days away. I think it should be starting next week, at the end of next week. So the preseason should find these players there, and that's why I feel like this week, whereas I feel like this week has been slow for United. I feel United has been going slow in terms of bidding, but at least now they have started. The first bid for Onana went in. Certainly you expect the second one to go in later tonight or tomorrow. We should be having an update about it. And then certainly for Højlund, they agreed personal terms with the player. I'm sure, of course, the talks are going on with the club. They are just yet to make things official. So I think before the preseason, it's possible that United could have most of these players, at least in the second week. By the time the second batch of players report for duty, the second week of this month of July, I feel it's possible that United has got the gist of the players they need. And then there will be no excuse for Ten Hag to fail to put on a proper, decent competition. Not a title-winning competition. Again, for me, even when we sign all the players we can sign now, even when we go on and sign Rasmus Højlund, Onana, and Amrabat, and of course Mason Mount is there, I still feel the target for United, we should be humble. The target for United should not be to go for the title next season. I think we will still need another season for these players to gel proper, and then believe then that we can go on and start challenging, have the right to challenge Manchester City to the title, because they are still, for me, even with all these signings, if they came in, I still feel Man City would still be slightly ahead of that. But I feel if the changes, these signings do come in, and then early into the season, or soon in few weeks, we have Sheikh Jassim come in, then I think it will just need one season, and United will be back flying high. That's my honest opinion. So it's I think a promising direction the club is taking, and there is no reason now, I think, for us to be worried. I think we need to trust the process now more than ever, because we are seeing things happen, and they seem to be now beginning to move. And you want to give a lot of credit to Erik ten Hag, because it was made clear his involvement in these transfers is why we are able to get players like Mason Mount. I'm telling you, the players United has failed to sign are players Erik ten Hag perhaps did not meet. Players like the Juventus midfielder, the Frenchman, that is Rabiot, Adrien Rabiot. These are players who are left to John Mata and Richard Arnold to deal with, and clearly they failed flatly. So flat out they failed. So you want to give credit to Ten Hag in terms of how he convinces these players. And this is the thing that Sir Alex Ferguson had, by the way. When you listen to interviews of the stories of most of the big players Man United signed under Sir Alex Ferguson, it was about him. He was the guy who went out there and even met their parents, spoke to them, and made them feel like the best thing they can do in their lives is to join United. So that's the character of a manager. And, that's your test of a manager. It's so important how you handle players. And that's why even at Arsenal, their coach Mikel Arteta has been credited a lot for being able to get Declan Rice, because so many clubs wanted Declan Rice. But Mikel Arteta was credited a lot for his involvement in signing him. Not leaving it to Ed, but how you speak to the player, how you make them interested in your project is so important. More so if it is a player who is wanted by many clubs that are probably even at a better place than you. So you give credit to Erik ten Hag for being able to convince these players to come and work with him. It's a good thing. It shows you that the players are under a manager they want to fight for and play for, and that's the most important thing. Players will not play for a manager they don't want they don't relate with, they don't associate right with. So that's for me a big positive. Morris is saying for Mount, it won't be a problem to wear the number 7 because he plays in midfield, not a winger. By the way, Mount can play in the wing, and that's one of the things he has about his football, his versatility. Mount can play as a number 8, he can play as a number 10, he can play flying in from the left, he can fly in from the right. So he can play as a winger, the way you saw Bruno Fernandes play there sometimes. Though I feel if Erik ten Hag is going to have a competitive team, I feel in the event, of course, probably if Amrabat doesn't come in, but even if Amrabat came in, probably it's possible that Amrabat would be, backup for Casemiro. And then we have Casemiro start with Mason Mount as number 8, then Bruno Fernandes as a number 10, and then of course Antony and Marcus Rashford and Rasmus Højlund, as the front three. However, I think if we get to a situation, for example, if you're playing a team like Manchester City that is so solid, so has got a lot of depth in their midfield, you want to be able to shield your backline well. I feel like that's a game where you want to bring in two holding midfielders, and that is where I feel a player like Casemiro and Amrabat would start together, and then that would mean, of course, Bruno Fernandes cannot be on the bench because he brought Mason Mount. Bruno Fernandes as a number 10, I feel like Fernandes' best position is number 10, and then that would mean Mount has got to be playing out wide, because he can't be on the bench. You don't sign him and rate him like that and you put him on the bench of the big games. You expect him to be performing in big games. So I think the beauty about Mount is his versatility. I think it's important. My only disquiet about Mount is I hope he does not displace Bruno Fernandes, because I still don't think Mount is a better footballer than Bruno Fernandes. I'll have to see it to believe it. I do not think Mount is a better footballer than Bruno Fernandes. I don't think Mount is a better number 10 than Bruno Fernandes. I think, yes, if he's playing number 8 deeper, it's okay. But if we bring another holding midfielder who is expected to start, then it's likely that of course only one of them will be playing number 10. For example, if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, so who then would you choose? Would you put Mount in the number 10 position or Bruno Fernandes? So it's a bit interesting, but I think he's mostly going to be playing number 8. And I do feel there will be room for Bruno Fernandes. My only pain would be seeing Bruno Fernandes playing wide again. I think it would be wastage of a talent. Ebonila is saying, okay, I think I read this. Maybin Mulenang saying Greenwood give him number 11, and for goalkeepers, if the management fails to bring Onana to United, please don't let De Gea to leave the club. He's genius on the post. Okay, Maybin Mulenang, I don't think United would make that mistake. To lose De Gea before confirming Onana. I feel like they will sign Andrew Onana. I'm getting a call here. And guys, you can call as well. Hello? Hello?
Are you online?
Yes, I'm online. How are you?
I'm fine, fine. May you share
What's your name?
your channel to my WhatsApp?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, the gentleman wants the channel on his WhatsApp. I thought he wanted to comment. Guys, you can as well call in, by the way. This is a Manchester United conversation, and from wherever you are, you can call in and we can just banter about the biggest football club in the world. There is news that has come through today, of course, concerning the bid that was placed in for Andre Onana. There is hope that tomorrow another bid will be placed, but also Italy reports that United have agreed personal terms with Sofian Amrabat, and as well, of course, the Atalanta forward, that is Rasmus Højlund. So United are working behind the scenes. Morris, when will the second bid go in for Nana? I don't see it exceeding tomorrow, to be honest. I think by tomorrow we'll have a second bid in, and probably it will be the last. I don't think we are going to go back and forth about Onana. I think the next bid we'll place in is the bid that will be accepted, because Inter Milan also need money. They need to buy players and they don't have so much money. Don Michael Kaluba 2019, Amrabat, Onana, Højlund and Mount plus a centre back is the best. Trust me, because we are not getting overrated players. Just to add Frank De Jong, oh my God, man, you guy, you this is this what they call wishful thinking? I think you want everything good for yourself at once, because if you add Frank De Jong, then you have a centre back, then you've got Onana, Højlund, Mason Mount and Amrabat. My goodness, I also don't think it's right for us to sign so many players in this summer, in the same summer. I feel like if you bring in so many new players, I think we're taking ourselves back to where Chelsea should be, because Chelsea are restarting. I feel like if you bring in so many new players, you're almost restarting. I don't think it is right to sign so many key players, marquee players in the same summer. I feel like you want to introduce players slowly by slowly, bring them in slowly by slowly. So many new players will take you back, because they will need time to jail. They also, perhaps the threat, that brings to the other players. I feel like it's not right to sign so many players at a go, whereas we've got so many departments to sort. And I like how a team, for example, like Arsenal, sort of handled their business. They first sorted the goalkeeping position. Even United from last season, we first brought in Casemiro, of course, tried to look for the right, you know, uh, you know, defenders. I think that's the way to go. You progress. You don't want to bring in so many players at a go. You will suffocate. It can't work like that. You get overwhelmed. I think we need to bring in bits by bits. I think for me, okay, given the situation we are in, at most 4 players, but I will be okay with 3. I'm only disturbed that, because certainly we need a goalkeeper now. We need a striker without a doubt. We've already signed Mount. For me, the ideal midfielder would have been a holding midfielder, not Mount. But the fact that the holding midfielder we are thinking of is a backup and not one that would be expensive, I would be okay us signing a 4th one. So for me, if we bring Onana, obviously if De Gea goes and Dean Henderson is leaving, he wants to go because he wants to be playing football and starting games. We will need a goalkeeper, second choice goalkeeper. That's inevitable, but that one would go for a few million. I just told you of a bid placed in for 3 million euros for the Feyenoord goalkeeper, so it shows you the second one is, negligible, not expensive. But bring in Onana, of course, a second choice goalkeeper on a chip. Bring in, of course, Mount is in, a striker and a holding midfielder. For me, we can't end this summer without signing a holding midfielder. That's why Amrabat is key. Amrabat is so key. So that's why Don Michael, I think I read this. Clinton saying Rasmus Højlund, bring me up to speed. I think the bid will go in soon. I think early next week probably. Or even in the weekend, it's possible. Maybin Mulenang saying the gear is going on goalposts, so don't let him go if you fail to bring Onana. Otherwise, you will regret at last. And I feel like the De Gea situation now is more in his hands, because he has gone already. He's out of contract. United failed to tie him down to a contract extension, so he's out of contract. So now it's the ball is in his court. He has got the negotiating power. If he wants to stay, it's up to him to take the offer. And I feel like it wouldn't be right for De Gea to stay. He wouldn't help us. He wouldn't serve us well, because I think he has lost his confidence. I think a proper, decent section of United supporters do not want to see him at United. They are tired of him. and he sees it. I feel like he needs to go to a place where he'll be happy. Whereas I feel bad at how his whole situation has been handled. I try to understand and reason, saying the money he was getting perhaps is the reason it took all this time. But I feel the best thing for the year should be to leave. If Onana comes in, obviously if we don't get Onana, then there is no option. There is no he's going. So Anolin Aliguma saying, Web, good evening, bro. Thanks for the show. it would be better if we had De Gea and Onana at the same time. Does De Gea want to stay and compete for a position he has been bossing for 12 years? I remember even when we had Sergio Romero, a very good goalkeeper, De Gea kept the guy on the bench. I mean, he's not used to being number 2, and I don't think he certainly feels like he's number 2 material, given the fact that he finished last season as the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. So it's a difficult, situation for De Gea. Biakaze Ivan, but for me, I believe in the output someone will put on the ground. Obviously, we want to see the output they give, the results they deliver. Ebonila, is Arsenal and Newcastle not threatening you? Threatening Newcastle. I feel like Newcastle will take time to become that force that can consistently be a threat. Of course, they can be outsiders in there. They have earned their right to be in the conversation for on the table of men. I think they have bought their right into the table of men. They have bought their way onto the table of men when it comes to English Premier League football. But I feel like it doesn't just come easy because you've got this money one season and the next season you're going to come in there and compete for titles. I think it takes a lot more than that. The thing with Newcastle, though, is that it has such a massive fan base. It's a bit of a traditional club. It's one of the most supported clubs in the UK. So maybe that, but I still feel they are not the team I think will be a major threat, to be honest. I feel maybe in a season or two, if they do things right, they could. But I feel like they are still reorganizing. Same thing with Chelsea. Whereas Chelsea have got a brilliant manager. I think they have changed a lot. They are signing a lot of players. It would be a shock for them to come out and and be competing. And I still think the competition will be between Liverpool. I think the toughest team for me next season will be Liverpool, of course, and Man City. Man City is a given. I actually think Liverpool will be even tougher than Arsenal, quite frankly. I feel like Liverpool are silent but getting about their business quite well. And we all know what Pep Guardiola can do when he gets a proper window and does his work silently. He can identify the right players, and when they tick, they can be unplayable. So for me, I'm mostly worried about Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle. Yes, and I mentioned to Newcastle, but I don't quite think they will be the team that should give us sleepless nights, regardless the money they have. I feel their manager has got a lot to learn as well. He's good. Eddie Huff, don't get it twisted. He's a brilliant, good manager, promising. But I think he needs a season or two for him to sink in and start, feeling like he has arrived on the table of men. It doesn't come easy like that. So for me, I think Newcastle will be competing with Chelsea and Tottenham and Brighton, maybe, if Brighton are still as good as they were last season. I still think the top 4 conversation will be Man City, Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal. That's my honest opinion. And it's early days, but I think at least we know the kind of business these clubs are doing. We know the direction they are going into. Of course, early into the season we can assess. It's still early days for me to make such a bold judgment, but that's for me from seeing how all these teams are reorganizing, what they are doing. Newcastle will not really bother me that much yet. I'll need to see to believe it. Don Michael is saying, my brother, Maguire is not needed in this project. We should be thinking of, if we get Onana, let's keep De Gea one more season. But like I said, De Gea's contract expired. He's no longer a Man United player. And he's on his honeymoon, taking his time, not rushing to come back and hold talks. So I think De Gea was mishandled. And that's it. Nolin Aliguma, I think, has just joined us, saying, how far with Amrabat? Like I said, reports are saying that United has agreed personal terms with Amrabat. That's what we know. And we do hope that a bid will be tabled in for him. Probably an official bid will be tabled soon. So That's where we are. United have agreed personal terms with Amrabat. I do sort of trust my source. I do sort of trust the Italian source. I think this is, and even Fiorentina have come out and proved they are open to selling him. So for me, I think it is possible that United could sign Amrabat if we sell a player or two and get the money, because I don't think we really have the money to go for Amrabat before signing a striker and selling a goalkeeper or two, because as it seems now we might need to sign two goalkeepers, because it seems David De Gea is not exactly having us in his long-term plans. I think I skipped a message here. Is Arsenal not threatening you? Can I be honest about Arsenal? And I hope there are some Arsenal fans watching. I actually think Arsenal will be lucky to finish third next season. I don't think Arsenal will be as competitive as they have been in this. Not to say that they won't be in the top four, but I don't think they will be on top of the Premier League table for whatever 200 days or whatever days like they did last season. I don't think they will be better than they were last season. I don't think so. Again, I might be wrong, but time will vindicate me. I think this is the season that is going to show Mikel Arteta what it means to be a manager of a top club in a league like the Premier League. I think it's going to be a difficult ball game for Arsenal, and I hope it is. To be honest, as a United fan, I hope it is, but I think it's going to be. I wouldn't have sleepless nights if Arsenal, finished 7th, to be honest. But I think, they won't finish 7th, but I don't think they will be 2nd next season. I don't think they will be threatening Man City for the title. I think they will finish behind Man City, Liverpool, and Man United. I'm not saying that will be the order again, but I'm saying Arsenal will finish behind those three clubs. They will be lucky to finish ahead of Liverpool, but certainly they won't finish ahead of Man City and Man United. That's my honest opinion. Anolin Aliguma. Okay, I think I read this. Yes, Don Michael is saying Maguire is not needed in the project. Yes, Maguire is obviously should be leaving, because the best thing for him, and the talks will go on between him and Erik ten Hag if they haven't. And the idea is to listen to him because he's contracted and is the captain of the club, certainly. Erik ten Hag perhaps might not mind him staying around if he's okay and open to being rotated, a rotation, but not a guaranteed starter. But remember, if he's going to keep his start as a starter in the English team, Gareth Southgate made it clear to him he has got to be playing football more regularly, because last season he played more games for England than for Man United. You can imagine. I think he started more games for England than he did for his club. So you can imagine how bad it was. So and he does perform for his club, but you cannot guarantee that you're going to leave players who are starting and you keep calling a player who barely kicks a ball at his club. Even for Southgate, he knows it's a risk that he's taking. He will make one mistake and the whole of UK will descend on Southgate. So I think it's important that he makes the right, but also for a person who won the Premier League before, a captain of a club like United, I feel you've got to have the character to know that if you're not starting and guaranteed a starting position, you cannot be there. Let him go to West Ham. Let him go to Italy. I think he has been linked to Italy as well. Tottenham has spoken about him before. So I think for me, Maguire's, it depends on the talks they have with Ten Hag. But I think the best decision for him would be to leave. He's not wanted. I think the fans would make Old Trafford hell for him if he stayed. I think for me that's the one thing that at least Ten Hag can make all the signings he wants, but the one thing, success for Ten Hag would be letting go of Harry Maguire and signing a striker. Success for Erik ten Hag this summer will be losing Harry Maguire and signing a striker. For me, that is what success would look like for Erik ten Hag. Maybe Mulenag saying, I have seen Onana's bid is rejected 6 hours ago. What's going on for Onana? Yes, we've been talking about that. Onana's bid was rejected, but talks are still going on between Manchester United and Inter Milan. United are valuing the player at, they tabled a bid of £34 million plus £5 million in add-ons, which is a total of £39 million. Inter Milan do want 60 million euros. 60 million euros is about 51 million pounds, and that includes add-ons. Now, meaning the valuation is the difference between the two parties is 12 million pounds. Now, for me, I don't see United failing to sign a player because of 12 million pounds. I think even if right now United said they don't have the money because of the takeover, let us, with the fans of the club, you know, let us raise the 12 million pounds to get Onana. I think we would, wouldn't you? I think we would. If even if it came to that, if push comes to shove, I think United supporters would raise the 12 million pounds. Would contribute a pound. How many United has got over 700 million pounds globally. So if all of us, had contributed a quarter of a pound, I think would top up that money. So for me, my point is, I don't think 12 million pounds, the difference of 12 million pounds, would fail to sign Onana, because first of all, I think he's not 51 million pounds as asking price for me is not bad. It's actually good for a world-class goalkeeper, and I feel like they are willing to go down. Inter Milan are willing to come down a bit, so United can also go up a bit, agree on a decent payment structure because clearly the cash is not there, and have your man. So I think we shall sign Onana. The elephant for me in the room is the striker and Amrabat. Do we have the money? But also the second choice goalkeeper, because the here might not stay as it looks. So for me, that's where the elephant in the room is. For Onana, the moment the first bid went in, for me, I knew he was done. So for me, it's a matter of time. Abbas Adams is saying, compare for me Robert Sanchez and Onana, who is better. Robert Sanchez and Onana. Onana is the best goalkeeper in Europe, if not in the world right now. For me, I think Onana is the best goalkeeper, without a doubt. And the stats show it, but also the fact that his style is exactly how Erik ten Hag wants his teams to play. The way he plays, Onana is another player in the back line. He's the one goalkeeper who threatened Pep Guardiola. If you watch the Champions League final, Manchester City were not pressing Onana. Yet Manchester City are known for pressing the goalkeeper. They were not pressing Onana because of how good he is with the ball. So he's the perfect goalkeeper, but also the age. He's 27. That's the prime, almost the prime age for a goalkeeper. So for me, I think Onana is the perfect, is a much better goalkeeper than all the other goalkeepers in Europe. My only issue for me, and I've said it here before, my only disquiet with Onana has always been longevity. That will he handle the pressure of being number one of Manchester United for, even if he gives us 5 seasons like this consecutively playing at the topmost level? Will he handle that? If he does that, for me, there is no doubt he's a brilliant goalkeeper. But my issue with some of my fellow African players, some of them, and there are those you will say who have gone on and defied this and shown for a long time. But the issue of longevity is key. Most of our guys are not prepared to be able to stay competitive at the topmost level. And when you talk the topmost level, it never gets higher than Manchester United. So the demands of being the number one of Manchester United for the first year, the second year, the fourth year, the fifth year, they are so high that it takes a lot of character. I'm hoping that Onana has got that character. I'm hoping that he has got that character. But besides that, in terms of his abilities as a goalkeeper, he's impeccable. He's an impeccable ball player. He's an impeccable shot stopper. But how much? He might give us one good season like Eduardo Mendy did at Chelsea. I hope it's not the case, because he has been consistent, of course, at Inter Milan and at Ajax, where he was before that. But he has got to be able to do the same, replicate the same form at Manchester United, because this is the biggest club in the world, the most supported club in the world. So it's different. It's a whole different ball game. We'd rather remain without buying a striker, but we need a backup for a defensive midfielder. Biakaze Ivan. This one I totally disagree. 150%. I totally disagree with you. United, for me, even if United just signed a striker now, a world-class striker, keep the here, I would be happy. They can even take Mason Mount back if they have to. I think the first area United has got to sort is a striker. United needs a striker who is going to bang in 30 goals. Look, we are talking a Man City. We are competing with a Manchester City that has got a Erling Haaland who will score 36 goals 6 games later. He missed about 6 games for Manchester City last season. This boy scored 36 goals. We are talking a league where you've got a Hurricane scoring 30 goals, but Spurs finishes outside the top 4. Do you know what I mean? The Premier League is about goals. Even Arsenal know it. That's why I keep telling people this Arsenal without a proper number 9 cannot compete for the title. The Premier League is just that. If you're going to win the Premier League, you've got to have a striker who will guarantee you now 30 goals plus. United needs that striker. That's how we are going to be competitive. Now, there are not so many options. The options that are there are quite too expensive for our wallet. But even if we get a promising one and we don't put them under pressure to deliver next season, but there is hope that they can in a season or two. But United has got to have a striker, a proper striker. The players can trust going forward to finish and score goals. The other goals from Marcus Rashford and all the other positions will be add-ons onto what this person is scoring. Otherwise, without a world-class striker, there is no way we are going to compete with Manchester City. It's not going to happen. There is no way we are going to compete with Manchester City. The bar now is set by Manchester City. We should be comparing ourselves against Manchester City. So if United City have got the best striker in the world, we should be having one of the decent strikers in the world. Not playing with who has been, I even forget who has been. Sometimes Marcus Rashford is not a number 9. The boy struggles to score goals from the wings. Anthony tries to do things he can't do, trying to curl in and go for long distance shots to try and score. I don't think for me, United, it will be a successful summer if we don't sign a striker. I don't think it can happen. I don't think Erik ten Hag would do that. Don Michael, I also think giving Mount number 7 is a bad idea. Garnacho, I support. Well, Garnacho, the birthday boy, that would be a good birthday gift for him. But I think, quite frankly, it would be too much pressure on the little boy. However promising he is, that shirt number at United is so difficult to don. I don't think he would accept it as well. I think he would be scared by it. Ebonila, how much does Rashford want to sign a new contract? I've heard that PSG has offered him a huge salary. No, well, he's not going anywhere. Rashford will renew. He has agreed to put pen to paper on a contract extension, earning £375,000 per week. PSG, the story from PSG is about Kylian Mbappe and how he's, I think, having exchanges with the club and Al-Khelaifi. The owner has been come out to be clear. He has been shocked by the way he's behaving. That's Kylian Mbappe wanting to live for free and stuff. That's the news coming through. But we are not. Wouldn't care. We would care less about that. I would care a lot if United could afford to buy Kylian Mbappe. But obviously, we know we are never going to buy Mbappe. We are now executing plan D. So really, Mbappe cannot be in plan D. So Mbappe maybe can be a talk of the future, but yeah, United and what was the question again? Okay, it was Rashford going to PSG. I don't think it's happening. It won't happen. PSG might sign maybe Victor Osimhen, but not Rashford. But Rashford is a United boy. He's happy, he's loved, he's admired. There is no way he can leave the UK. He's, I think, on his way to becoming a sir. I think he will be knighted, I think, soon. I think he already has an MBE, and whatever that means in the UK. It's so important. It seems to be a prestigious title. I mean, he's got every reason to stay in the UK and play football there. I don't see him going to PSG unless Man United, I don't know what they would do to him, but it's not happening. Don Michael, okay. I think I've answered Onana's bid. Yeah, so guys, pretty much that's it about Manchester United. I've got 1 minute. I started at 10, and of course it's coming to 11. It's always a pleasure talking about Manchester United. Of course, thank you guys for being a part of the live, and from wherever you are, keep subscribing and enjoying the hotspot, as we do hope to listen to hear more news coming through. But just to sum up the stories today, of course, Mason Mount unveiled as our first signing, shirt number 7, a jinxed shirt, like some would say, but the hope is that he will go on and shine in that shirt. But also, Onana's first bid of 39 million pounds, including 5 million pounds add-ons and an initial bid of 34 million, was rejected by Inter, but talks are going on between the two parties, Inter Milan and Manchester United. So Onana could be coming in as a goalkeeper soon, rather than later. And also we know that United are contemplating a bid for Hojland. That's a bit where we are. Amrabat as well. It has been reported that United has agreed personal terms with Sofian Amrabat, and they are now waiting because Fiorentina as well is saying they are open to selling Amrabat. They value him at 30 million euros. That's why I do. That's what I know. Alni Alguma, if we don't get top 4, who is to blame? Is it the Glazers or Ten Hag? I think it can't be Ten Hag, because I don't think it is Ten Hag's fault that Manchester United is executing Plan D. I don't think it's Ten Hag's fault that Manchester United does not have the finances, that players like Kim Min-jae agree to personal terms with United, but somehow later they change their minds and choose Bayern. I don't think it's Ten Hag's fault. I don't think it's Ten Hag's fault that United is failing to sell players, to raise money, to buy the world-class players. So, but I think it is Ten Hag's fault that we've got a lot of hope, and it's not a fault, credit, that we've got a lot of hope that next season will be a good season for United. He has made us look good, yet we've been looking so terrible for so many years. So I don't think, for me, we can blame anything on Ten Hag right now. I can only blame Ten Hag for how David De Gea's situation is being handled, but that's, I think, a little of a concern. I think he's not here to sell ice cream. He's here to do what's right for the club, and if he's taking the club forward, well, as a fan, obviously, yes, we might respect the legends and all, but we want to see the club going forward. People were castigating him for how he treated Cristiano Ronaldo, but after 12 months later and how United performed, people are saying, who cares about how Ronaldo was treated? Yet he's, I think, the biggest of legends we've had. So for me, it can't be a blame on Ten Hag. Kenneth Opio, thank you. I see you. And of course, all the other lads, thank you so much, guys. I think my time is up. I've got to let you retire and be ready for work tomorrow, but also expect a lot of news coming through. And the takeover, well, still reports are contrasting, this and that, but I don't want us to dwell so much on that. At least there is something for us now to look forward to concerning United, not the takeover, but the transfer of players. And Onana, Amrabat, Hojland are top of that. So for me, let's focus on those. My name is Webb. Subscribe to the hotspot as we grow this community of Manchester United supporters. Thank you. See you tomorrow or later. In case there is a breaking story, Onana could be confirmed, I will be back live to break it for you. But I think I will be seeing you again tomorrow. Good night, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you are. My name is Webb. One love. Bye. Oh, there's one here. Ebonila, we need a typical striker. Recall the 2021 Pep played Kevin as a false 9 and he emerged no Champions League. Yeah, you're right. Premier League, you need a number 9, a natural number 9. People thought Pep would shine with a false 9, but he saw it and went for the best striker in the world in Haaland. Yet he had all players who would score the goals. Guys, we need a striker. Ivan, we need a striker. Good night, guys.